My girlfriend thought a pregnancy scare would change me. I celebrated when they tested negative, and I dumped her 2 months later. I'm 29 now, and looking back, that title sums up a hell of a lot. 7 years. Man, 7 years with a woman who, from day one, heard me loud and clear. No kids, no marriage, no white picket fence, no in-laws in my business. My whole damn goal in life has always been to travel, live free, and not end up like half the miserable bastards in my family, tied down to a life they resent. She said she was on board. No problem. She'd chirped. I don't want any of that either. Yeah, right. I was naive then, younger, and I wanted to believe it. You want to believe it when you find someone you click with, someone who makes you laugh and lights up a room. But a man learns. Eventually, for 5 years, things were decent. We had our routine, our inside jokes, our adventures. We traveled a bit, nothing too crazy, but enough to satisfy that itch in me. I thought, maybe, just maybe, I'd found the unicorn, a woman who genuinely understood and respected my vision for life. I was wrong. Of course, 2 years ago, the shift started. It was subtle at first, like a slow-moving storm on the horizon. Little comments, dropped casually. Oh, when we have kids, we'll need a bigger car. Or, our future son is going to love this. I'd laugh it off, thinking it was just a joke. A bit of fantasy. Sometimes, when she'd say it, she'd look at me with this hopeful, expectant gaze, and I'd just shrug, change the subject. I figured she was just dreaming, not actually planning. Then it escalated. She started talking to my mom, behind my back. Mind you, my mom, who, bless her heart, has always been on a crusade for grandkids. Suddenly, my mom would bring up buying a house, not just for us, but for the future of the family. My girlfriend's parents, too, started in. They'd make comments about how we're so excited for the wedding, or we always saw you two getting married. It felt like a weird, elaborate joke between the families, and I let it slide. That was my first mistake. One of the big ones. I should have shut that shit down immediately, but I didn't want to rock the boat. I figured they were just old-fashioned, and she was just playing along. You tell yourself things, rationalize away the red flags, especially when you're comfortable. You don't want to believe the person you care about would actively try to undermine your clearly stated boundaries. The subtle jabs turned into outright pressure. She wasn't just talking about a kid with you anymore. She was talking about our kid, like it was a done deal, something I'd simply forgotten to agree to. It was like living in a slow-motion ambush. Every conversation about the future inevitably circled back to kids, marriage, and a house with a yard. I'd remind her, gently at first, then more firmly. Hey, remember what we talked about? No kids, no marriage. That's my plan. She'd nod, maybe sigh, and then an hour later, it was back to what we'll do when we have a family. It was exhausting. It felt like I was constantly repeating myself, constantly defending my own life choices to the person I was supposed to be building a life with. Then came June 22nd, 2024. I remember the date like it was yesterday. It was a Saturday. We were just chilling, watching some dumb movie. Out of the blue, she drops it. My period's late. My stomach dropped faster than a lead balloon. I tried to stay calm, but my insides were churning. Late? I asked, trying to sound casual. How late? She started listing off symptoms. Tired, nauseous, craving weird foods. My mind immediately went to the protection we used. We used condoms. Most of the time. Yeah, I know. Most of the time isn't all the time. And that was another one of my big, dumb mistakes. I'd trusted her on the pill, too, because she'd always insisted she was diligent. I was under pressure from my family, always on my case about grandkids and a normal life. And it messed with my head more than I like to admit. I was 23 when I almost got a vasectomy. But my parents scared the hell out of me with exaggerated stories about dying or ending up paralyzed. I let them get to me, let their pressure get into my head. That was on me. I was old enough to do my own research, but I didn't. I just kept going, naive as hell, like it would all be fine, but this felt different. She wasn't just talking about it, she was acting like it was already a done deal. My family, somehow, heard about it, probably through my girlfriend talking to my mom. Again, and the congratulatory texts started rolling in. My phone was blowing up. Finally, grandkids. So happy for you two. My sister even sent a baby outfit emoji. It was like I was trapped in some bizarre, unwanted family reunion. Her family, meanwhile, was over the moon. They called, sent flowers, talked about baby showers, and she was glowing, literally, glowing, talking about names, nursery colors, parenting styles. like she was already pregnant, already a mother. I was freaking out. Not just on the inside, I could feel the cold sweat on my forehead, the tightness in my chest. This was my worst nightmare staring me in the face, a direct threat to everything I'd always said I wanted. I begged her to take a test. Begged her. That was a moment of pure panic and desperation. I should have just told her, flat out, to take the damn test. No begging, no pleading, just a firm demand. But I was so lost in the moment, so overwhelmed by the suddenness and the sheer audacity of it all. She dragged her feet, made excuses. I'm scared, she said. What if it's positive? I bit back the cynical reply that was bubbling up. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she caved. She went into the bathroom, shut the door. I paced outside, my heart hammering against my ribs. Every second felt like an hour. When she finally emerged, her face was a mask I couldn't quite read. Then, slowly, she shook her head. It's negative, she mumbled, barely audible. Negative. The word hit me like a splash of ice water, clearing my head instantly. Negative? It was like the world had just lifted 100-ton weight off my shoulders. I felt it, physically. The tension in my shoulders melted away. The knot in my stomach untwisted. I wanted to scream, to jump up and down. I wanted to run out into the street and tell strangers. I celebrated like it was New Year's Eve. Man, a genuine, unadulterated surge of relief. I probably even let out a whoop. I know I grinned, a wide, goofy grin that I couldn't wipe off my face. She cried, and she screamed, called me cold, heartless, a terrible father. Bitch, I told you I don't want to be a father. I thought, though I didn't say it, maybe I would be a terrible father. I never wanted to be one in the first place. This was exactly what I'd said I didn't want. This was the whole damn point. And now she was crying because my life plan, the one she supposedly agreed to, was still intact. It was infuriating. The next day, she acted like nothing had happened, like the screaming, the crying, the accusations, the fake pregnancy scare, none of it had been real. She started talking about how cute it would be to have a daughter, how I should pamper her when she's pregnant the next time. That's when it hit me, truly hit me. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't just her parents putting ideas in her head. This was a calculated move, a manipulation. She was playing games, hoping to trap me. She thought a pregnancy scare, the ultimate emotional blackmail, would change my mind, would force me into a life I explicitly said I didn't want. No, just no, I said. My voice was calm, steady, but inside, a line had been drawn. This was it. This was the end. 2 months later, I ended it. 2 months of going through the motions. 2 months of watching her try to reel me back in with sweet talk and plans for our future. 2 months of me seeing her for exactly who she was. My family was ashamed of me. Of course. How could you throw away 7 years? She was the love of your life. You'll regret this when you're old and alone. Her parents hated my guts. Still do. And she still tried to reach out, even after I made it clear it was over. But I didn't care. I felt free. Truly. Gloriously free. I'd rather be the villain in their story, the heartless bastard who broke up with the love of his life, than betray who I am and end up stuck with kids I never wanted and a wife I couldn't stand. Yeah, she was the love of my life. At that point anyway, we had a connection, a good one, but that connection was built on a lie, or at least, a willful delusion on her part. She knew what I wanted, what I needed, and she pretended to be okay with it, all the while plotting to change me. You can have a great connection with someone, a real spark, and still be fundamentally incompatible. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. You don't give up who you are to make someone else happy. You don't change your core desires to keep someone in your life, because you'll end up miserable. There are 8 billion people on the planet. Man, a lot of women out there, you take your time, you build a good life for yourself. A lot of people asked why I didn't just get a vasectomy if I was so sure I didn't want kids. And they're right. That would have been the smart move, the responsible move. There's a longer story there, but in short, I seriously considered it when I was 23. My parents, those meddling bastards, scared the hell out of me with horror stories. You could die. You could end up paralyzed. Totally exaggerated, of course, but they just wanted grandkids, and they played on my fears. So I put it off. That was on me. I was old enough to do my own research, but I didn't. I was also under a lot of pressure from my family, which wasn't exactly helpful. They wanted grandkids, a wedding, a normal life, and it messed with my head more than I like to admit. I was young, sure, but that's no excuse. Yeah, we used protection, condoms, most of the time, But now I see how naive I was. I was never 100% sure she was on the pill, and I just kept going like it was all fine. That was irresponsible of me, and I admit it. I'm not proud of it. The one thing I always knew for sure was that I didn't want to be a father, and I stand by that. I'm going to get the vasectomy in the not too distant future. Just to be clear, I'm not going into details of my sex life, but I did use condoms most of the time. Most of the time isn't good enough. Though, lesson learned. After reading comments and doing some research, I'll do the vasectomy as soon as possible. It's a promise to myself. I was thinking about doing it before 2026, but the sooner the better. If I plan on hooking up with any chicks, I better go get it done, because I guarantee the next one, if I don't, she'll magically get pregnant. That's just how the universe works sometimes. A lot of people gave me a hard time in the comments, called me names, said I was selfish. But if you're a guy out there, listen up. You tell a girl what you want. What you don't want, you lay it all out. If she says she's okay with it, don't necessarily buy it, not 100%. Either she's full of crap and convinced she can change your mind, or she genuinely means it in the moment. But then her friends start having kids, and the family pressure hits, and she starts feeling like she needs a purpose. And suddenly, your no kids rule isn't just an inconvenience, it's a barrier to her purpose. Then you're dealing with this crap. Be aware. Gentlemen, be aware. Protect yourself, physically and mentally, and don't ever betray who you are for someone else. Because the only person who has to live with your choices, day in and day out, is you.